anything you're going to quite be able to control. So I'll stop us. Alright?
Okay.
You ready to get going?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you want to pop it into drive? I'm going to put the hazard lights on as we go around the building.
Okay.
So let's make our way around really slowly. We're going to start off in comfort, start off on the south circuit, nice and chilled, and we'll build up to it, alright?
Yep.
Round to the left for me. So you said you've nearly...
Straight on it.
Yeah, straight on. And then just 30 miles per hour on the access road. You said you've nearly had yours for 3 years now.
Maybe 3 years March.
Which is strange because it's rare to have this experience so long after.
Well, I got it. I got the invite initially about last March.
Okay.
And then it was supposed to be in June, and I couldn't do it, and it was put back and put back.
So normally they say you've got a year from the purchase to do it.
Yeah. No. Certainly no. No. It was about 2 years.
Straight up for me. And where this barrier is in the distance, we're going to stop it there, and that's the entrance to the south circuit, alright?
Okay. So I'm turning into the south circuit.
Yes, please. Okay, cool. So, round to the left, keep it between the white lines for me. Now, the fastest we're going to go on here is about 35 miles an hour. So we're not trying to drive fast at this point. We've got plenty of time to do that. We're just going to start talking about the techniques of what we have to use when we're on a track. Okay? Now, the first thing I want you to do is hold your hands how you originally did. Keep your hands in that position. This is the best way to control the steering when we're out on the track. Okay?
Yep.
So hands that fixed position, turning by crossing your arms over. That's how all of us guys would do it.
Yeah.
And that's how I want you to do it as well. Okay?
Yep.
Now, as we're approaching a corner at high speed, what's the first thing that we're doing? The first thing we're thinking about doing to take the corner when we're approaching it at high speed.
Getting braking before you start turning.
So braking in a straight line?
Yeah.
Yeah, although is it the first thing you're doing?
Getting your right position on the road.
Cool, so as we come towards this right-hander then, what do you mean? What's the right position?
Over slightly towards the left.
Over to the left, yeah? Why?
And then taking it tight.
Okay. So left to then taking it tight, and then on the exit, do you keep it tight or do you go back out?
Unwind.
Yeah? The idea is that the first thing you're thinking about is your positioning. Okay?
Yeah.
Then you're taking this sort of outside, inside, outside approach to every corner. Okay? This way, if you're doing that, it's the straightest line through the corner. And if you spend less time steering, you're going to spend more time on the power, it's going to be a faster lap. And obviously, if it's the straightest line, it doesn't require as much steering, so you can carry more speed through it.
Yeah.
And that's called the racing line. So the first thing we do as we approach a corner is get ourselves positioned, and it's not slightly over to the left, it's as far as you can get without running over that white line. Yeah?
Yep.
Now, why is it important that we get our positioning done before we do the braking?
To do with the weight transfer. When you brake, you dynamic weight transfer.
Right, so where does the weight transfer when you brake?
It comes to the front.
Cool. Now the thing I want you to think about now, in cars, the weight, where the weight is where the grip is. Okay?
Yeah.
So if we're braking, the weight goes to the front, grip's at the front. It's great for
Yep.
when you're trying to turn a corner. But obviously the weight's not at the back, so the back doesn't have the grip. Yeah?
Yep.
Now, if we were, for example, not positioned in the right place, coming towards this next corner, and we broke first, and then turned left when all the weight's at the front, and then had to try and go right afterwards, what's going to happen?
Slide.
Yeah, you're going to unsettle the car. It doesn't like that much movement and that being that aggressive, which is why you get the positioning done first. Now, knowing that the grip or the weight is where the grip is, how do we then take the corner? So we've broken in a straight line, weight's on the front. When do we come off the brake?
As you're literally turning into the corner.
Okay. As you start to turn in, you come off the brake.
Yeah.
How do you come off the brake?
I don't know. I'm not quite with you. You basically coming off the brake and then transferring it onto the power again, power out.
No. So this is what I'm trying to get at. It's all about weight transfer.
Yeah.
Now, if I brake a little bit and then jump off aggressively,
Yeah.
what happened to your head then when I did that?
It went back a bit.
It went back. So where did the weight go?
Back.
Back.
Yeah.
So we can do all this work, getting ourselves positioned, braking nicely in a straight line, but if we jump off the brake aggressively, where does the weight go?
It goes back.
It goes back, and then you've got to turn. When you're turning, where do you want the weight?
On the front.
On the front. So how do you come off the brake?
Gently.
Smoothly. Yeah. And then again, you don't power through the corner like you just said, because where does the weight go when you power?
To the back.
To the back. And we want the weight where when we're turning?
On the front.
On the front. So where could we logically start getting on the power?
As you're coming out the corner.
As you're coming off the steering, so you already know you don't need the weight on the front anymore. So now that's when you start putting the power on. Okay?
Yep.
And it's proportionate. The less steering you have, the more power you can have, and once the wheels are straight, bang, you can go full power. And it's important to follow these techniques. This car has a little bit more leeway, but when we get in the rear-wheel drive C63, you have to stick to these religiously.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of your instincts are going to be telling you to power in the middle of the corner. You've done it on most of the corners out here. Now, if I slow the car down a little bit, or quite a lot of it, quite dramatically,
Yeah.
you now feel like you have to power in the middle of this corner. Obviously, because of the speed we're going. But so what's caused us to feel like we need the power in the middle of the corners?
If you feel you're going too slow.
Okay, cool. So maybe we broke too much, slowed the car down too much.
Yeah.
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 We cannot get on the power until we start to straighten up. So if for whatever reason you feel like you need to get on it beforehand, it's not because I'm telling you crazy things that aren't correct. It's because we've not carried enough speed in.
Okay.
Because we're braking as late as we can, getting the car slowed down in a straight line, smoothly off the brake as we turn in, and you shouldn't feel like you need the power until you start to straighten up.
Okay.
To a point where, because I've had it before with a chap, and he was like, well, no, it doesn't really make any sense. I should have to power in the middle of the corner. And I was like, if you were going around this corner at 100 mile an hour, would your instinct be jumping on the power? No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. People's instinct to jump on the power is because of the speed that they're carrying into the corner. Because naturally, your instinct as you approach the corner is to slow it down too much and then accelerate through it. But actually, that's causing us more trouble than it is good. Yeah?
Yeah.
So stick to the techniques, and if you feel like you're going painfully slow in the middle of the corner, don't add the gas on just because you can. Wait until after the corner, and that will amplify the fact that we need to carry more speed in next lap and reinforce it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Positioning, braking in a straight line, smoothly off the brake as we turn in. Doesn't even matter if you're quite slow off of it, but try and keep the weight on the nose, and don't get on the power until we start to straighten up. So now.
Yeah.
Yeah? Happy days. Right, should we head off this lap?
Yeah. So we're turning off here?
Yes, please, and we'll go right down the access road. All makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And if we stick to that, that's exactly how I drive around here. If you can drive exactly the same as I drive around here, you're doing well. Yeah?
Yep.
Left just here, stop it behind this black car. the thing I want you to think about is high performance driving isn't about trying to drive as fast as you possibly can. I know that sounds ridiculous, but bear with me. High performance driving is all about doing everything as efficiently as you possibly can. We brake in a straight line because the car slows down quicker in a straight line.
Yeah.
When you're turning, the car doesn't slow down as quick.
No.
And we'll cover that so you get a good understanding as to why that is as well.
Yeah.
That's why we do it in a high performance scenario. So we brake in a straight line before the corner, take the speed off in the shortest space of time possible when it's slowing down most efficiently. So then if you're only spending that much time braking on a lap rather than that much time braking, you're going to have more time on the power and it's going to be a faster lap.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yep.
Likewise, if you're turning that much on a corner, you're going to have to be going slower than if you're turning that much.
Yeah.
Which is why we need to make sure we're on the right line.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be most efficient and we'll be able to carry a higher average speed throughout the lap.
Sure.
Does this all make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So when we get out on the track, we're never driving fast for the sake of driving fast. To a point where you're pushing it too hard into the corners, jumping on the power earlier and just trying to push it for the sake of it.
Yeah.
You're just following these techniques, driving the car as efficiently as you possibly can, and the time will be there. We will be fast anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Into drive, just pull forward to the blue cones for me. Hold it there. We'll wait for this guy to clear the area. Just going to pop into park very quickly. Now all we're going to do here is a high speed emergency stop. So idea being you're just going full power, absolutely pinned, and when I tell you to brake, as hard as you can on the brake, bring it to a complete stop.
Okay.
Okay? Just practice jumping between those pedals again, make sure you're happy.
Yeah.
Yeah? Now at the moment we're in comfort. I'll talk you through the different settings like I said when we use them next time, alright?
Okay.
Now this is a four-wheel drive car, so how can we accelerate? What's the most efficient way to accelerate?
Well, just straight floor it with a four-wheel drive.
What about when we get in the rear-wheel drive
It's got a-
C63?
Very slightly, very smooth.
Yeah.
It's got to be smooth to
Yeah,
get the
good.
traction, and then once it's got the traction, you can then increase it.
So this is an
So
example.
it's gradual rather than
Yeah, cool.
absolute floor.
So this is an example of where that four-wheel drive just allows you to drive faster, easier. Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
require as much work and as much technique to get the same sort of performance. Into drive, just full power. When I say brake, as hard as you can on the brakes.
Okay.
What's that?
I've never done that before.
Oh, it's good, isn't it?
I had. Oh dear.
Round the blue cones. Good car, isn't it?
Now I can understand why you change your tyres every couple of days.
We'll go in there again. Okay. Cool. How did that feel?
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly it comes to
It does, doesn't
a
it?
halt.
This car obviously has got tons of grip under acceleration. Unlike that one.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry too much about that. But under braking, could you feel anything acting, any systems on the car trying to control it for us?
Yeah. It was, because it was as if it was sort of on off, and yeah, it was.
Okay. Do you know what system that is?
Not the ABS, the other one.
It is the ABS.
The ABS.
It's the ABS, yeah. Do you know what ABS stands for?
Anti-lock braking system.
Anti-lock braking system. Cool. So how exactly does ABS work?
When it's actually skidding, it lets the wheel turn so much to try and keep the traction. So it's not. Once it's skidding, it's got no traction at all. So it's stop, start to try and get it to give it traction.
So what happens is you brake, and when you brake to a point where you're braking so hard that the wheels lock, it releases the pressure so it unlocks, and then it tries to bite again and locks again. And what you get is your brakes locking, unlocking, locking, unlocking, locking, unlocking when you're braking on ABS. Now the trouble is with this is when you're braking on ABS, each one of those locks adds up to a distance where we're not braking as efficiently as we can, which is why you get that jerking. Yeah. Now we're going to put it into Sport Plus this time.
Yeah.
We'll do the same sort of braking, and then we'll talk more about the ABS. Now, all Sport Plus does, and much like your Sport mode, it does turn the exhaust on, but we can turn that off again. It changes how the car uses the gearing. So it's going to always be in a lower gear. It's going to carry the gear all the way to red line, and it's going to change down as soon as it can to get the car set up on the exit of the corner. Does that make sense? So people think, oh, it's much more powerful in Sport Plus, or the throttle response has changed. It's none of that. It's just how the car uses the gears. It's like if you're driving a manual through town and you're doing 30 mile an hour, if you drop it to second and plant the gas, it's going to pick up. If you put it into fifth and plant the gas, it doesn't. That's the difference between Comfort and Sport Plus.
Okay.
Alright?
Yeah.
So let's give it a go anyway, when you're ready.
Okay. It's good.
Yeah? Around the blue case for me. Now, Lewis Hamilton in his F1 car doesn't have ABS or traction control or any of that, does he? But he's not spinning every time he gets under power. He's not locking up every time he gets on the brakes. Why is that?
She's very smooth on the accelerator.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean,
Straight on here.
no, in there again. I mean, I could get in it and do 5 mile an hour and be very smooth on the accelerator, and I wouldn't spin. But I wouldn't be as fast as him. Somehow he always has the most he can put down at all times, but still doesn't spin.
Because you're smooth.
Essentially. The thing is, there is a limit of grip. On every track, in every scenario, there is a limit, maximum amount of grip that this car has on this surface, on this day, on this track. Yeah?
Yeah.
And every corner may be slightly different. Now, the thing is, Lewis rarely goes over that limit, because when you go over the limit, that's when you brake too hard and you lock up. That's when you accelerate too fast and you get crazy wheel spin and you spin around. Yeah? And that's what we're working towards. We're doing all these techniques as efficiently as we can to the limit of grip that we have. And if we're not going over the limit, we're at the limit, then we'll be as fast as we possibly can for the day. Yeah?
Yep.
And the car that we've got. So, knowing that then, is ABS the fastest way to stop the car? Knowing that it locks and unlocks?
I would say probably, well, I don't know, I'm probably going to be wrong, but I would say yeah. Because if not, and you just floor it and you lock up, then once you're locked, you've lost your traction.
Okay. So you think ABS is the best way to stop it?
Unless you really, well, I would say yeah. I would say yeah.
Okay. It's actually
I'm probably wrong.
No, it's actually
I knew I was going to be wrong.
So no, it's fine. I mean, I'm asking what you think. Technically, there's not a wrong answer.
Unless I'm just thinking, unless it's like a crescendo of braking, but once you get to a certain point, you're then going to lock up, aren't you?
Well, no. So basically, what I'm trying to get to is the fact that with ABS you get the locking and the unlocking. Each one of those locks adds up to a certain distance. So if we're thinking about the high performance driving being the most efficient way to do everything, is that the most efficient way?
No.
No. So the most efficient way would be braking just as hard, but without the locking.
Yeah.
Good. So what we want to do, if ABS engages there, we want to brake to there. And this technique is called threshold braking. So let's try it now. I want you to brake as hard as you can with no locking up.
So the ABS doesn't kick in?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay.
How's that?
That was good. I mean, it locked it. I locked it in the end, but you could feel it slowing down.
Yeah.
Probably quicker to start with,
And then the
because
moment
it didn't kick in.
yeah, and then the moment the ABS kicked in, what happened?
I didn't feel that. It didn't feel as I was slowing at the same rate.
The car was shunting forward.
Yeah, yeah.
Around the blue cones. So we're going to perfect that now. Because that could be the potential of braking a metre later on the track. Or if we do brake a metre later and we get a bit of ABS at the end of the braking, that could be the difference between getting our apex and running wide. Yeah?
Yeah.
So threshold braking is what we always want to do, and actually if you think about it, if you ever need to do an emergency stop out in the real world on the road,
Yeah,
that would still be the fastest way to do it.
Yeah.
But it's like everything. These ESP, which I'm sure you know what ESP stands for, don't you?
Go on.
Electronic Stability Program.
Yeah.
These ESP systems are built for safety, not high performance driving. So that's this button here. Okay? So actually, your fastest lap possible, if this didn't exist, and your fastest lap possible with it, should be the same. Because you should never have any of those engaging, because then you're over the limit. That's when they engage.
Okay.
If you start to slide, they'll engage to stop it. If you're too eager on the power and rear wheel drive car and get wheel spin, that's when traction control engages to stop that. If you're too hard on the brakes, that's when ABS engages for safety. And you can see with the ABS, it always overreacts and it's never as efficient as it can be. Yeah?
Yep.
So it's kind of like if Lewis had ABS and traction control, he shouldn't really be any faster. It would just be easier to drive that fast.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because he wouldn't be taking it over the
Because he
line.
could come out a corner and just go bang, and it would be at that line.
Yeah.
Or close to.
Yeah.
Right, so should we give it another go?
Okay.
Let's do it. No ABS. Brake. Better. A little bit at the end though. Round the blue cones and we'll go back in there again. Now, tell me, are you starting off by braking light and then going harder? Or are you starting off by braking hard and then going lighter?
I was going like a crescendo, soft, and then gradually increasing it.
Okay. Now,
Which is probably why it's kicking in at the end, isn't it?
well, this is what I'm asking. So, is ABS or ignoring ABS, if we didn't have it, are we more likely to lock up at a high speed or a low speed? Don't go off what just happened. Just think about it.
Depends how quick how aggressive I am on the brake pedal.
Okay, so let's assume we're in this car.
Yeah.
I'm driving.
Yeah.
We're doing 150 mile an hour on the autobahn. Think of the energy behind the car. Think of how much of the ground is going underneath us and rotating the wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if I hit that brake with 100 kilos worth of pressure at 150 mile an hour, or if I hit the brake at 50 mile an hour with the same 100 kilos worth of pressure, what is going to lock the wheels or be more likely to lock the wheels?
So when you hit 100 kilos at 50 mile an hour rather than 150.
Right, because you've got so much less energy in the car.
Yeah.
So then if we're talking about most efficient way to slow the car down, then is it going light and getting heavier?
No, it's probably heavier.
Right.
Heavier, and then heavier, and I suppose staying at it and going lighter at the end.
So the thing is, ABS, if this is our brake travel, ABS starts off depending on your speed. So at the speed we're going, let's assume it's all the way down at the bottom. So you want to be bang, because as you slow down, it's going to be more likely to engage.
Yeah.
Because you're more likely to lock up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So actually, if you watch your brake trace, it doesn't want to be bang straight up to 1,000,000 kilos worth of pressure because you'll shock the car.
Yeah.
But it's a nice, slightly smoother spike down to hard pressure and then gently coming off.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Let's give that a go.
That's the best one.
That was better. That was better. You still had to go heavier at the end. Yeah? It's bang coming off. Yeah?
Yeah.
Not bang or sort of light bang and come off quite a lot and then have to go harder. Yeah? Around the blue cones. We'll try again, then we're going to have a little bit of fun with it. Okay? But I'll let you do the launch control this time. Have you done it in your car?
No.
You interested in trying it?
No, I'd love to give it a try, yeah.
So back round into lane 1 for me. One 4-2 to Chrissy.
Hello, GC to Elliot Kihos. Yeah, go ahead for you. Yeah, we've got user level ready to go. Go, nice right.
Okay, so let me get this set up. Now, to do a launch control on this car, you have to hold your left foot on the brake.
Right.
Okay? I need to get it set up, and with your left foot on the brake, you're just going full power with your right foot, and it will balance the revs, foot still on the brake.
Yeah.
Okay? Then you come off the brake to go. And then when we come to braking the other side, we use our right foot again.
Okay.
Okay? Now to do this, you have to put ESP into sport handling mode. Okay? Pull both the up and the down pedal off. Pull the up pedal. And no hesitation, hold your foot on the brake, full power. You can come off the up pedal, off the brake to go. Remember, same technique, you went light to hard again. Yeah? Around the blue cones. How was that?
That was good. That was, boom.
Pretty quick, right?
Yeah, it is.
The trouble is, did you notice it came up with 4MATIC unavailable?
No.
Because of the way that we wear tyres here, there's a lot of right-handers, so the first tyre we use is the front left. Okay? Now, because of that, when that tyre gets worn, we put a new one on it. So that tyre could be brand new this morning, and that one could still be 2 days old.
Right.
So it's very hard for the system to be able to calculate.
Doing it again?
Yeah, calculate how much power to put to each wheel. And then obviously it puts a lot of load on the transmission and the diffs as well. So actually, it doesn't always work very well, like it's just demonstrated. However, there is a soft start, which is like a halfway house. It doesn't balance the revs as high, but it still gives you a good launch. It doesn't put as much load on the car. Do you want me to show you that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Left foot on the brake. Into drive.
Yeah.
For this one, just put it in sport handling mode and it's already there. You just go full power with your foot on the brake. Notice it's holding the revs lower.
Yeah.
Off the brake to go. It's not as hard on the car, but actually it's almost just as fast. Brake harder. Okay. Getting there with the braking. Remember, it's hard at first. You're still quite smooth with it all. Yeah?
Yep.
Around the blue cones. So that's the launch controls anyway. So, I mean, in the real world, soft start's probably the one you'd want because it's less load on the car, less wear on the tyres, quicker to set up as well, and negligibly slower. Let's go in there again, because what we're going to do is we're going to do a target braking exercise. And this is quite good fun, to
Okay.
be honest. Now, did you notice that there's a yellow box in this lane?
Yeah.
We're going to use that for a target braking, okay? The idea is you're getting from here into the yellow box in the smallest space of time possible,
Okay.
okay? But first time, let's just go up here very slow and stop in the box just to get a reference of where it is, because I'm not going to tell you when to brake for this, you've got to judge it yourself.
Okay.
Now you see there's the 4 blue clones on the left,
Yeah.
and then one on its own.
Yeah.
That one on its own is in line with the far end of the yellow box.
Okay.
Alright? So, into drive for me. Let's go and stop it in that box with the nose. Nice and slow. Just to get your reference of where it is. Stop in the box. See? Now, there we go. You can go much further forward than that though. You've probably got another 1.5 foot. Stop it there. That's about as far forward as you would.
Okay.
Okay? Around the blue cone. Now, if we think about it, what's the fastest way to get from the standstill into that box? How can we do it in the shortest space of time?
Well, obviously fastest acceleration and trying to so it's acceleration and then brake.
Yeah, but what technique on the braking?
The hard and then coming off.
Yeah, with no ABS.
Yeah.
Perfect threshold braking. Always on the limit of ABS. Yeah?
Yeah.
Now it's only hard and coming off because that's how ABS works, that's how physics works for locking up. So you're hard at first to get to the threshold, and then the threshold's going to get closer to you, so you have to come off, otherwise you'll have ABS. If you're braking as late as you can, with perfect threshold braking into that box, no one will do that faster than you. Lewis Hamilton come here, he's not going to do it any quicker.
Yeah.
Because that is the perfect technique to do this. And if we can do this, target braking, like this exercise we're doing now, is much like a corner. If you think about it, every corner is a target braking exercise. You just don't come to a complete stop.
Sure.
Yeah?
Yep.
So if we can nail this, we've only got to figure out how to do the wiggly bits, and we'll be absolutely fine. But if you can nail the target braking, then we just have to turn and be patient around the corner and get on the power after.
Yeah.
And we should be in a good place.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So let's give this a go.
Too early. It's having the confidence, knowing how far you can go.
Remember what I said? A lot of people, their instinct is to go into a corner slow and then get on the power early.
Yeah.
Then the car feels like it's got no grip because you've got on the power too early.
Yeah.
If this was a corner, I'd be telling you to be patient so that we can realise the next lap we have to go in faster.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Round the blue cones. Good. So, we can brake later then.
Yeah.
Now, were you braking hard as well?
I thought at first, but then when I realised that I braked way too early,
Okay.
then I came right off it.
So remember, we want to be threshold braking. A bit of advice, I would say, if you do perfectly threshold brake to a complete stop, and you stop, and you see how early you stop, then it will give you an idea of how much later you can
True.
brake.
Yeah, that's true.
But what I would say is, if you stop 3 meters early, can you just go and brake 3 meters later?
It's a millisecond, isn't it?
The thing is, if you stop 3 meters early, instinctively people go, cool, that was really slow, I'm just going to go and brake 3 meters later. And out on the track it's easy to think, wow, that was all well slow, I'm going to brake much later. The trouble is, if we brake 3 meters later, why is the car not going to stop as quick?
Because it's going a tad faster from that.
You're going faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on the track there's a couple more variables as well, because if you get a much faster exit on the corner before as well. Obviously here the launch is quite consistent.
Yeah.
So let's think about that. If you brake later, it is going to take longer to stop, but we know we can brake harder anyway than what we did last time. Let's give it another go.
Okay.
Bit of ABS at the end. Still brake early. Did you brake harder at the end of the braking then, or at the start?
I didn't lift off, so I seemed to be braking harder towards the end when the ABS kicked in, didn't
Right. So then, could you have broke harder at the beginning? Maybe been a bit more efficient with your braking?
I? Yeah.
So you could probably re-brake even later and be even more efficient with your braking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Round the blue cones. 142 Chrissy Palmer. Okay, last practice run, and then we're going to put a time on it.
Okay.
Just out of interest, because it'd be nice to compare what we can do it in the C63. Because the C63, it should be harder to get away from the line, but we should be able to get up to a higher speed. So it should be interesting anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course there's another technique with the C63 because you don't have the four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Right, let's give it a go. Hold it there. That was good. The first initial hit was great. But did you come on the pedal or stay off it? Like,
I stayed on it, and then in the end it was just an actual reaction when I thought I'm going over the box
Yeah.
to put it down instead of
coming off. Yeah. So your instinct was to stay on the brake.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, if we'd come off, do you reckon we would have stopped in time? Considering the cone is there.
Don't know.
Think how much the car skipped. I'm not saying it necessarily would.
No.
have.
Yeah. If I hadn't have skidded, quite possibly.
You potentially might have stopped in time. Maybe not. But you can see how much more dramatic it was just by having that ABS engaged. There,
Yeah.
can't you?
Yeah.
Cool. Round the cones at the end, and we'll put a time on it this time. Now, this isn't to now make it competitive, okay?
Yep.
Because it's very easy, very, very easy for me to go, I'm going to time this now. What the hell is that from? And everyone goes, oh, I've got to try so hard, and suddenly everything
TC, can we have water on the straight, please?
everything we've been working towards gets forgotten. We drive faster by focusing on the techniques. Now, in terms of this, we want to stop in the box. So how could we improve what we've just done?
By focusing on my braking
Okay.
after the initial brake.
Cool, so not having any ABS.
Yeah.
Yeah? Good, and if that's all we focus on doing any differently, forget about the fact that I'm timing, we will be faster anyway. And this is how we develop as a driver. And if you can be constructive like that, rather than just wanting to drive fast for the sake of being fast, you will have easily the ability to become the fastest driver, you know, because you are productive. You focus on the technique more than anything. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So let me just get it up, and the way this is going to work, I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, go. That's when I start the timer. You go on go, obviously. And then when we're stopped in the box, that's when I'll stop it.
Okay.
If you overshoot it, I'll delete it. If you undershoot it, I won't stop it until you're in it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go. We're just in it. Just about. 9.1 seconds. It's not bad. 0 to over 60 to 0 again. Round the blue cones for me. Was that the correct technique for the braking? I know what was.
It did hit the ABS, but then I came off and went back on it, back on it again to
try and
so
stop.
I don't know.
So, in an ideal world, maybe we don't want quite as much ABS as that, which is fine. Let's go in there and pull up behind the silver car at the moment. Maybe in an ideal world we don't want as much ABS as that, but that's all right. And actually, if we didn't have as much ABS as that, we would have stopped quicker, and we probably would have stopped early. So we probably could have broke a bit later and done it without ABS, and I reckon had a good another half a second in that time.
Right.
Yeah. And that's how we focus on techniques to develop performance. Not just by going, oh yeah, I could brake much later there and knock a minute off my time. That's not how it works. Yeah? Evaluate what you've done, where you can improve, and then you look at it from that side and see how the improvement, you know, affects your time.
Yeah.
Cool. So all we're going to do here, I'm going to set a speed limiter. Have you used this on your car?
No.
No? So have you used cruise control on your car?
I've used cruise control.
Yeah. So speed limiter.
But on the Isle of Man, there's nowhere really to, only in the UK.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to use it on the Isle of Man.
Yeah. So if you push the silver button on the end of the cruise control dial,
Yeah.
and set it, it would be a limit rather than cruise control.
Okay.
And the way this works is you can push the power as hard as you like, and it's not going to take you past the speed limit you set. So it's quite suited to like driving in London or something like that.
Yeah.
However, if you go completely full power, it will cancel the speed limiter. So
Okay.
don't do that. Get it to 35, and all we're going to do is drive down here and brake in a straight line.
Okay.
Now this surface is black ice, so I'm expecting to have ABS engaged. Okay?
Okay. So I'm
that's
just going to
fine.
drive down the middle and.
When I say brake, brake as hard as you can. Wait. Nice and slippery, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Through the giveaway signs and round to the right. So lots of ABS as well. If we were threshold braking on that, would we stop quicker?
I would. Just on ice, I would hope to.
Yeah, you would. The thing is, that's most likely the normal scenario that anyone would ever experience ABS on ice. When they hit it and they brake and it engages so quickly, and everyone's instinct is to stay on it. However, you know now, you don't want to stay on ABS, do you?
No.
You want to come off. So we'll try and do the same thing this time. I'll tell you to brake in the same point and try not to stop with ABS, and we'll see how long it takes to stop. Because that time.
So would I be looking to brake very gently or on off?
It's the same as before. As much as you can brake, as hard as you can push it without hitting it. So at a higher speed, it's going to be slightly more than it would be at a lower speed, but it's very, very much more slippery, so it's going to be even more likely to engage. So rather than being bang and off, it's more like a bang and off up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, still, yeah.
So we'll try that, shall we? How you feeling, right?
Yeah, good.
Good. So we'll
Yeah.
spend a short amount of time on this, and then we'll get some laps in on the track.
Well, yeah. Could I have... Hi, buddy, did you give me that key from yesterday? No, I gave you the sea glass back and then I took it back, mate. I've got the I'll just go from logistics. Thank God for that. See you up at driving range.
One 142 to Chrissy. Really doesn't want to talk to me, does it? Okay, let's try it. I'll tell you to brake at the same point. Brake. Don't pump it. Just come off gently. Off. No.
It is sensitive, so sensitive.
It is. But the thing is, what you're doing by doing that, you're just doing the same thing that ABS is doing. So you're working against each other. Rather than doing this nonsense, somewhere there's a balance where you're not having ABS but you're still braking. And that's what we were looking for.
Right.
Through the giveaway signs. But we still stopped quicker. So when you were doing that, you did find a sweet spot, but you could tell by coming completely off and being completely on, you were also hindering yourself loads as well. So somewhere there was a sweet spot that would have been even quicker, and that is threshold braking, being at that sweet spot at all times. Anyway, should we go out on track for a little bit?
Yeah.
There's more we can do there, but we
Sorry.
can do it in the C. Left just here, sorry. We can do it in the C63. Just hold it here for me. 142 to Chrissy.
Go ahead.
Hello mate, when are you heading back in? Because we're sharing these cars.
Whenever you feel like it, really.
Alright mate, I'll give you a radio when I'm coming in.
Wicked, cheers.
Cool, so as we approach corner, first thing we're thinking about,
The line,
positioning, yeah?
positioning,
And then what?
and then brake, then speed into the corner.
So braking
Yeah.
in a straight line?
Yep.
What technique? Threshold brake?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
Smoothly off the brake as you turn in. When do we get on the power?
As we're straightening up.
Good. Round to the left. Hands in that position once we get on the track that we spoke about. Start off nice and slow. There's no pressure, but when you start off too fast, you make mistakes, guaranteed, and it will knock you and we'll end up going backwards, alright?
Yeah.
Everyone does it. You might have heard of a young Brazilian chap called Ayrton Senna. He spent about half the day practice before a race weekend driving around at about 20 mile an hour to the point where they used to put wet tyres on him and his engine used to overheat, but the first lap he set all day was the fastest lap. Okay? Take your time to get used to the track, see where it goes. Here we're going to be braking at about the cones, smoothly off the brake as you turn in. Think about when you'd want to power. That's now. You want to be tight in here, go towards the cone, and then tighten up so that you can try and get a straighter exit. Here it's a bit of a brake, hold it tight. We're just going to let the car behind pass, and you know that. So just pull over to the left for me. He's got past, keep going. Now, I don't want you to just drive around for the sake of driving around now, okay? Think about the techniques. Even if we're going slower, I want you to start braking in the right places, smoothly off the brake as we turn in, don't power too hard. Here, use the track, squeezing the power in, braking in a straight line towards the corner, off the brake, wait, now we'll hit the power. Out to the left, nice straight line through here, close to this orange cone, full power, out to the left. Braking at the cones, straight line, smoothly off the brake, wait, you're straight back on the power there, think about it, now we'd be on it. In tight, towards the cone, now tighten up. Too early, because now you hit the power, yeah? Don't just hold the power in the middle of the corner, start thinking about that weight transfer. If the weight's at the back, the car won't turn, yeah?
Right, so say again about holding the power in the middle of the corner.
You don't want to do it. You want to power after, don't you?
Yeah.
Where's the weight going to be if we're on the power?
At the back.
If you're turning, where do you want the weight?
Front.
Okay, so we don't want to time the power in the middle of the corner.
No.
There's a few exceptions, like this long right-hander, where you can, because it's so open, and we don't need the weight in the front. But that's it, yeah?
Yeah.
Full power now, out to the left. All the way down, braking in a straight line. Smoothly off the brake. Wait. So you see there, we can go in faster. Yeah?
Yeah.
In tight towards the blue cone. Tighten up. Now on the gas as you start to straighten up. Bit of brakes, hold it tight. Keep it to the left, on the power, keep it to the left, bit of brakes, turn it in. Wait, full power for me. Braking, off the brake, turn. That's it, hold it tight and balance the power on. Bit more, use the track. Braking in a straight line, off the brake, patient. Now on the gas, out to the left. Nice straight line, more, full power, out to the left. Off the brake. Wait. Now power. Out to the left. Turning it in on the brakes. Turn it tighter. On the power. Hand position. Why are you shuffling the wheel around? Think about it. Turn it in. Full power.
Hands cleft.
Hold it tight now in this corner. You can hold a bit on. Use the track, full power, braking a straight line, off the brake, out to the left, full power, nice straight line. So, come on, keep it going. Off the brake, wait, now power, turn it in, now tighten up, wait. Now gas. See, you're too early on the gas, the car wasn't turning. Think about it. Don't be too early. Brake. Smoothly off the brake. Wait. Hold it tight, balance the power. Use the track. Pull. That's it. Braking. Off the brake. Wait. Now on the gas, out to the left. Nice straight line. Full power. There. I want us to start braking later, okay?
Yeah.
Towards the cone. No, that wasn't the cone, we held it tight there. Just because you're seeing you're catching this car, don't start trying hard.
No, I'm not. It's weird when I went into that. You go into that corner there, and you turn the wheel right over. It's as if how can I describe it? It's as if you're right on the rims of the wheel, if you know what I mean. And it's an experience that you don't get very often.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's
but let's stay focused, follow the techniques, and we'll be very quick. only slide straight off if you're driving in the wrong technique.
Right.
Yeah? If you're following what I'm telling you to do, there's no reason why you should. Right, let's just make this inch perfect and then we'll go back for a bit of a break, alright?
Yeah.
Braking in a straight line, smoothly off. Stop over driving, that was ABS. Out to the left, nice straight line, full power. Out to the left, keep it going. Nice late brake. Braking. Smoothly off the brake, turn it in. Wait, power. Hard on the gas, turn it in tight towards the cone. That wasn't tight. Wait, too early. Now gas. Hold it tight. Wait, hold it tight. Keep it to the left, turn it in. Relax. Full power. Continue past this line. Braking. Turn it in. Wait. Hold a bit of power on, keep it left. Relax. Full power. Brake in a straight line. Smoothly off. Wait. Too early. Out to the left. Full power. That's it, come on. Right, start thinking about this because you're being too early on the power in a lot of places because you're going in too slow. Like here. We're already on the gas. We only get on the gas as we straighten up. Yeah?
Chrissy, 2 Piers, just so you know, we're probably going to go in the next sort of 5 minutes.
Okay, Chris, I was going to say, get back to the building at 22.
Yeah, that's all right. Cheers.
Okay, slow it down. We're going to head off this lap, alright? Relax. We're not driving fast anymore. We're going to head off this lap. That was good. However, towards the end I think we started to lose concentration a bit and we just started to slow down because of that, making silly little mistakes.
Okay.
Does it all make sense what I've been saying
Yeah.
now though?
No, it does.
Yeah?
Yeah, it does.
That was epic. You see how we started off slow, probably a bit faster than I would have liked us to, but just by going a little bit slower than that black car, when we built the speed up it made a little bit more sense. You see how quickly we caught it?
Yeah.
Yeah? That's why no one will ever believe me, but just drive slow, understand where everything goes, understand the techniques, and then you can do them faster. Yeah?
Yeah.
I still would have liked maybe if we took a little bit more time driving slow, just to clarify where we should be getting on the power, because I think as we started to get to the point where we were driving very fast, you were going a bit too slow.
I was
in some
too
of the
eager
corners,
to get back
and
on
you
the
were too eager
power
on the
again.
power.
Yeah.
And that's your brain telling you you've gone in too slow.
Yeah.
But you didn't process that information and understand that because you didn't take the time to figure out where you should be getting on the power.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, head round to the left here. We've spoken about ABS. We briefly touched on traction control, and obviously we're going to go right in here and pull off the main one. And obviously these are all systems within the ESP, the Electronic Stability Program. We're going to talk about these much more in the C63 because obviously being rear wheel drive it's much easier to demonstrate them all. This car's a lot less likely to lose grip. The only difference being that when it does lose grip, it loses grip in a big way. That's the thing with four-wheel drive cars. People assume, oh, they're so much better. Yeah, they have a higher limit of grip, but when it goes, it goes. Because in the rear-wheel drive car, you'll either understeer or oversteer. In this car, you'll tend to just have all four wheels lose grip, which, trust me, is a lot more scary than just two.
Yeah.
Often what people shy away from with rear-wheel drive cars, though, is oversteer, because oversteer seems scary. But as soon as you learn and understand what it is, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've spoken about ABS, a little bit about traction control, which we'll get a better understanding for in the C63. There's another one which is ASR, but what we're going to talk about now is EBD. Have you heard of EBD before?
No.
No? Okay. Remember what we were doing up here?
Yeah.
High speed emergency stop. We're going to do that, but I'm going to ask you to take your hands off the wheel just before braking.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to say hands off, take your hands off the wheel, foot still on the gas. Now this time I don't mind you braking on ABS the whole time. So foot still on the gas, hands off, cross your arms, put them next to you, put them behind your head, whatever, I don't mind. And then when I say brake, brake as hard as you can. And do all of the braking with your hands off the wheel.
So I keep my hands on the wheel until you shout brake?
No, keep your hands on the wheel until I say hands off.
Okay.
Take your hands off the wheel, but your foot's still on the gas.
Yeah.
Then brake when I say brake.
Okay.
So take your hands off when I say hands off, don't brake until I say brake.
Okay.
You're still on the gas until I say brake, right?
Okay.
Let's go. Hands off, brake. How was that?
Amazing.
Notice the wheel was doing this.
So it corrects itself to keep the car going straight.
So
That's fantastic.
EBD stands for electronic brake force distribution, which sort of sums up what it does, just in that. If this car's not stopping in a straight line, it's because that time we pulled to the right slightly, or started to, didn't we? It's obviously because the right side of the car's slowing down quicker, which makes sense considering we've only got 2 left-handers and about 9 right-handers on our track. So this side of the car, the tyres get worn quicker. So that side should have more grip. Yeah?
Yep.
So it pulled to the right a bit, and then the car went, oh, this side's slowing down too quickly. And it actually took the brakes off the right side, so it slowed down as quickly as the left. In fact, overcompensated a bit, so it went back to the left, so that when we did that, we didn't just stay braking straight line over there. It took us back, and then again, and then again, and then again, until we were nice and straight
You
again.
can see where the wheel
And that's
is.
what the wheel was doing.
Yeah.
The wheel wasn't actually being told to move, but by adjusting the brakes, this was a byproduct of that. Because of course, if this side's slowing down quicker than that side, the wheels are going to turn slightly. Yeah?
Yeah.
Around the blue cone smoke. And that's EBD. And that's why the car should always be in a straight line under braking. You might have noticed once we got a bit of a wiggle on under braking into turn 5 at the end of the straight.
Yeah.
And that was actually because you did that just as we started to brake. And when the weight went on the front, back went light because of that. So for example, if you come off the wheel now, if we were braking and it did that, it would take the brakes off this side, bring it back to here, then do it again, and again, and again, and again, and that movement will get smaller and smaller until we're nice and straight.
Yeah. We're going in again?
Do you want to do it once more, or do you want to go
Yeah.
back?
No, we'll do it once more. That was an amazing feeling. Accelerating without your hands on the steering wheel and then hitting the brakes. That was yeah.
You ready?
Yep.
Let's do it. Hands off, brake.
That was amazing.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Around the blue cones.
Radio check. Check.
Cool. Right, let's head back. Nice and slowly on the access road. Let's go back and grab a coffee or
Yeah.
something like that. Chill out for a bit. Obviously, I'll sort out the new car for us, and then when we get out,
Okay.
we'll finish up with about an hour in the C-Class.
Pretty good.
Did you enjoy that?
No, that was good.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Hopefully it all makes sense what high performance driving is about now, though. And hopefully you learn a thing or two as well. That was very good, that
Tell
one.
North 5, please.
Just remember that the C63s won't be as forgiving.
No, sure.
So when you've
Thank you for
when
that.
you've managed to just about get away with holding a bit of gas on or being too aggressive with it or whatever, you won't be able to in the C63, especially on a nice greasy morning like this morning, right?
Yeah.
Which is why we learn these techniques anyway. And four-wheel drive cars just disguise it a little bit, but it's still the same. Yeah. Okay, should we park it in between these two?
Do you want me to
Yeah.
reverse it in?
Yeah, reverse it. That's it. Left a little bit. A bit too much. That's alright. Yeah, I mean, it's not.
I didn't
necessary-
notice that there.